Lace is gorgeous to wear, but we're turning that gorgeousness into a jewelry piece. What's going on, my fellow jewelers? I saw this lace earrings and I was like, I have to make it, but I had no idea how. So with trial and error, I was able to get it just right. And so I'm going to teach you today the tips and tricks for putting lace in your UV resin jewelry piece. So before we get started, make sure you subscribe my channel if you haven't already, but let's dive right in right now. Okay, you don't really need much. You need your lace, you need your bezel, and I am using colored UV resin, but you also really need clear UV resin no matter if you're using colored, okay? I bought lace at Walmart in just strips, and it's perfect. It's really perfect for the size. I wanted to go with a purple, so I'm not gonna use my strip, but you don't need much lace for this piece, and so I'm really excited. So what you need to do first is you need to outline and cut your lace. Now, the first thing I did when I started doing this was I was outlining my lace on top of my bezel, but then I found that when I cut it, there was still markings on the lace when I put it in the pendant, and you could see it, and it just didn't look really good. So this is what you need to do, is you need to take your bezel and put it on top of the lace and then mark it. So I'm gonna hold my bezel down and I'll mark it on the outside. I need to mark it on the outside, like so. And then when I cut it, I'm not gonna cut exactly on top of my marking. I'm gonna cut inside my marking because it is a little too big. So I'm gonna cut around on the inside of where I marked it. Ooh, it's really pretty. It's so delicate. You just have to be really kind of patient with it. Okay. So then I need to test it out before I do anything, because if I have to fold it in and push it in there and it's sticking out, like if your lace goes like this, right, it's gonna be pokey and it's not gonna be good. It needs to fit just nicely in there. So usually the top wants to stick out just a little bit. So I'm just gonna cut a little bit off. Oh, it just wants to kind of fray. So we're just kind of, So now we need to put tape on there. We need to get our tape and our bezel. So I'm going to go like this. I'm gonna cut some off, and then I'm gonna fold it over to have a place to put my finger. I'm gonna fold it over like so, and then I'm going to put my bezel on here. Yes, well, I put it on there crooked, but yes, I did put it on there. So now we need to protect ourselves. We need to get clothes we don't mind ruining, or an apron. We need to put our gloves on. You need to get a respirator. The only time I don't wear a respirator is during videos because you can't hear me, but it's so important to protect your lungs and make sure you have like ventilated area. I am going to put down a really thin layer. Ooh, that is really bright. I like it. Ooh, it's gonna look really great with that purple. So I'm gonna put a really thin layer and I'm gonna spread it all around. It needs to cover the whole bottom of your bezel. It needs to cover all of it. If I don't have enough, I'm gonna put a little bit more in there, but I'm just gonna take my time and cover the bottom of my bezel. Okay, so now we gotta hit it with some heat to get your bubbles out of there. Bubble is the enemy of resin, and you wanna eliminate as many bubbles as possible. You wanna get little to no bubbles, okay? And by doing that, you can either do the heat, which I do. Some people don't feel like putting heat on is great for it, but I do anyway. And then you can either use a toothpick to kind of bring the bubbles to the top so they pop. So now I am going to cure it on both sides for 1 minute on both sides. You need to do both sides. Like, it's so important that you cure the top, you've cured where you can touch, and then after you do that, you flip it over and you cure the back. I get questions all the time, why isn't my UV resin curing? Why is it still sticky? Because you didn't flip it over. Most likely. There could be other reasons, but for the most part, it's because you didn't flip it over or you colored your resin too much. You can't color UV resin too much because the light can't penetrate through all that coloring. And so you either need to do really thin layers if you've colored it too much, or you need to make it more transparent. Add a little bit more of the clear UV resin. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to put our lace inside of our bezel. The trick is with lace, you treat it like a flower. So flowers in their petals, the bubbles hide. And so with lace, the bubbles like to hide in the little crevices. And so in order to eliminate that, this is the next step, which is super important. Do not skip this step, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're going to put just a little bit of resin down to make it more like glue. And we're gonna stick it in there. And then I'm going to use my tool and place it where I want to, kind of spreading it out so that it hits the sides of my bezel. And then, this is crucial, we're gonna put a little bit on top, just a little bit, not a thick layer, just enough to push it down. Oh, my top does not want to go down. I might have to flip it over. Okay, it's going like this. So I'm gonna actually take it and flip it over so it goes down better. There we go. Now you're listening. Now you're going down, lace. Okay, so it's just a thin layer and we're gonna spread it out. We wanna see all those beautiful like in between places of the lace. It's so pretty. The UV resin is just covering the lace. I didn't do it all the way on the bezel. I just did enough for the lace because we're going to cure it now. And when we do, it's going to capture all those bubbles so the bubbles can't go up to the top if we were to totally fill our bezel. Okay, so let's hit it with the light. Let's do this. And we're just going to do a quick cure, just really quick. Okay. Yes, it is hard. Hoping that no bubbles are going to be hidden anymore. And then we're going to put the layer on. I feel like this is where when we put the UV resin, this layer on, it like magnifies the lace. It makes it look so much more pretty. Oh, look at that. It's so pretty. It's so, love it, love it, love it. I want to kind of dome it, right? Like make it just barely above the bezel. And then I see a bubble. So we're going to hit it with heat. Yep, and popping all the bubbles because bubbles are the worst, okay? And now I'm gonna hit it again. I'm gonna do probably like 2 minutes this time. Now it's looking so cute, look at that. Oh, and no bubbles, ooh, no bubbles, love it. Okay, so I'm gonna take it off and I do want to put a bit more of the white on the back. You don't have to do this step. Some people do, some people don't, where they add more on the back. But I feel like the white is really, well, it's really pretty. But I feel like if I do a little bit more white, it would make it pop. So I'm gonna do just a really thin layer on the back. I don't wanna overflow. I wanna make it just a little bit wider, be that color just a little bit deeper. And so I'm just going to spread it out, making sure that it's along all the sides. If it's not, I need to add more resin to it. Okay, we're gonna hit it with heat. Yep, I see the bubbles go bloop, 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 bloop. Just like so. Oh, I saw you, bubble. And then we are going to hit it with the light. We're gonna hit it with the light. And then I want to show you some of my other pieces I've done with lace to give you examples of different things you can do. Look at this, it's done and it's so pretty. I do like the background. Like I feel like for this particular color, it makes it pop, but I also do clear, right? Like this is the clear one. I think it's great. I don't know if you can tell because there's a white background, but you can do a color background or a clear background. And I feel like it'd be great for either one. I did a white one. I don't know if you can see it with the light, but it's like dark on the back and then white lace. Or I did just clear, right? Like clear is good. Like where you just do the clear layer instead of the colored layer. Like you get to pick like what you want to do and the colors you want to do. So you can either do a color background or you can do a clear background. Like I think both are pretty, and depending on the color, it can make it pop, or it can just make it just softly be in there and stuff. But that's all I got for you guys today. Before I get going, I want to pray for you. That's right. I love praying for my viewers. And the Lord wanted me to encourage you to spend time with him. Like just spend time with the Lord. When I first got saved, before I was married, before I had kids, I was spending like 5 days a week getting up early, like at 6 in the morning, maybe not early for you guys, but it was early for me, getting up an hour before everybody else at the workplace. And I would just spend time with him. Like I would spend time reading my Bible, or I'd be worshiping with dancing and music, or I'd be writing in my journal. Like that time in the morning with him was so precious. And it not only made me find out who he was, but it changed me on the inside. And then as I got married and as I had kids, it got harder, but I found those little moments, right? Like a little 5-minute here or a little lunchtime there when they were napping, right? And just spending time with the Lord because he wants to interact with you. And some of you are like, well, I can't hear the Lord. But the more you spend time with him, the more you'll start recognizing when he's talking to you and stuff, when he's communicating with you. So I just want to pray. So God, thank you for my viewers. God, thank you that you want to spend time with us, that it means so much to you, that you want to pour into us and love us and show us things in your word and speak to us about our life. God, I pray my viewers would take that time. I pray, Lord, that you would show them time in their schedule where they can spend one-on-one time with you, uninterrupted, without their phones, without the little interruptions, whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's 30 minutes, whether it's an hour, whatever time they have, may they spend it with you, God. Thank you so much that you're such a personal God, that you want to be so intentional with us. God, we love you, we thank you and praise you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Ooh, lace is so pretty. I do love these pieces. All right, guess what? I have some other videos right here, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye!